Hey guys, welcome back to Ace Recaps. Today, I'm diving into the gripping and intense 2022 Hindi drama thriller, A Thursday, where a seemingly ordinary preschool teacher takes a classroom full of innocent children hostage. The line between right and wrong blurs, and a dark truth emerges. The movie begins with a preschool teacher named Naina Jaiswal, who has just returned after a month-long retreat. She is seen adoringly observing all her students. Naina is a nurturing woman, and the kids in the school love her. The parents welcome her back, and since it's one of the students' birthdays, Naina requests the student's mom to have her driver pick up the cake and snacks. Savitri, the helper at the preschool, asks Naina for a day off as she has some work to do. Naina gladly approves, telling her she'd be happy to handle the kids, and even gives her an incentive for being so helpful. Naina's fiancé, Rohit Merchandani, a criminal lawyer, tries to convince her to celebrate her own 30th birthday as well, but she is reluctant. Naina is also a lawyer but decided to leave her profession to pursue her love for kids by turning her home into a preschool. Meanwhile, news reports show that India's Prime Minister, Maya Rajguru, is visiting Mumbai for a rally, causing traffic and security issues within the city. Rohit expresses his admiration for the Prime Minister, and after a hearty conversation with his wife, he leaves for work. Naina gets back to class and as all the kids watch some cartoons, shushing them in an odd manner. She then goes into her room, pulls out a gun from underneath the bed, and calls the police, telling them she has taken 16 kids hostage. While the kids continue watching TV, Naina puts on some earphones and anxiously waits for what's about to come. A few minutes later, the driver comes in to deliver the cake. She leads him to the kitchen, and as he lays down the box, he spots Naina's gun. Having no other option, she takes him at gunpoint. He begs her to reconsider as there are kids in the house, but Naina straps him to a chair in her room. Meanwhile, we see that the helper Savitri has left her phone at her place of work. She quickly returns and finds it in the kitchen, but as she goes in looking for Naina, she spots a man strapped to a chair. Naina is again forced to take her at gunpoint too, and straps her to a chair beside the driver. Savitri is in shock as she never imagined someone as loving as Naina could do something like this. She thinks that someone must have coerced Naina into this, but Naina angrily just tapes over her mouth. She then prepares some sandwiches for the kids and feeds them, letting them continue watching their cartoons. Naina then sits back down, watching over the kids, and swallows a few pills. Just then, she hears the doorbell ring. Officer Catherine along with another police officer have arrived at the school to investigate the phone call. Naina then proceeds to shoot into the sky, alerting everyone about the kidnapping. Officer Catherine calls for backup and immediately gets on a call with Naina, where she demands to speak with Inspector Javed Khan within the hour, after which she would start killing a child every hour if her demands are not met. Catherine calls up Inspector Javed, who's also her ex-husband, and informs him of the situation. Naina then goes back to the kids and acts as though nothing has happened. When the children request to use the washroom, Naina frees Savitri to assist them. Naina threatens her not to try and be heroic, after which she is strapped back to the chair. Meanwhile, the police clear out the surrounding area and set up base outside the school. Naina then goes live on Instagram, claiming she has done this because she has a few demands from the police. All her friends and family are shocked watching this, and someone even calls up her fiancé to inform him of the news. He is in disbelief, but once he watches the live stream himself, he rushes back home to figure out what's really going on. He calls up Naina repeatedly, but she just cuts his calls. People all around the country are outraged by what Naina is up to and fully support the police's decision to kill her and save the children. Officer Catherine rounds up all the parents of the kids and informs them about what's happening, and they are all now in fear for their children's lives. A little while later, Officer Javed Khan arrives on the scene. He is shocked to learn that Officer Catherine has called on the tactical team to invade the premises, endangering the lives of all the kids. As the squad gets ready to enter, Javed convinces Catherine to speak to Naina. Naina then proceeds to make her second demand of 50 million rupees, and Javed has no choice but to accept. Naina goes live again and tells the world of her demands, saying she would kill a child every hour if any of her demands are not met. All of this is now being broadcasted through the news channels all across the country. Just then, a news anchor named Shalini finds out that her son is also being held hostage. She immediately calls up Rohit, which is when we find out that they have been having an affair for quite some time now, which may be the reason for the hostage situation. Meanwhile, Officer Catherine orders the tactical team to enter the premises. Naina notices this through the news broadcast and opens fire towards the officers, making them retreat. In a state of panic, Naina tells the kids to shut their ears as she's fighting off some bad guys, and fires a few more shots at the officers. Looking at this, Javed loses his temper against his senior officer, giving her an "I told you so." Naina then decides to teach everyone a lesson for trying to break her demands. She picks up a kid named Akash and takes him to another room. She then goes live once more and shoots him in front of the world. The parents who are watching the news from across the street see their whole world collapse in front of their eyes. The commissioner then shows up and takes Officer Catherine off the case for endangering the lives of all the kids, and Officer Javed is then made the lead police officer. Naina immediately receives the 50 million rupees she demanded. Knowing that she now has the attention of the country, Naina gives up her third demand. She tells Officer Javed to round up 2 more people, Rakesh Mathur and Charan Kumar. Naina even demands to speak to the Prime Minister of the country. Javed is shocked hearing this and informs the commissioner of Naina's demands. He then orders the arrest of the 2 individuals she stated. At the same time, Naina goes live again and puts the death of any more children on the head of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister, who has just arrived in the city, is made aware of the situation by the media. The PM's team is against giving in to the demands of a mentally unstable person, but she insists on speaking to Naina, in hopes of saving the lives of the children. Listening to all the hate from people around the country starts affecting Naina. This is when she decides to let go of one child as a way to ease her mind. Just then, Rohit comes on the scene, hoping to speak to his fiancée, but Javed proceeds to interrogate him instead. He finds out about the affair and the location of Naina's mother and orders the others to track her down. Just then, he receives a call from his higher officials to patch the call of the Prime Minister through to Naina. When she finally gets to talk to the Prime Minister of the country, Naina promises to let go of all the kids if she comes down and talks to her face to face. Meanwhile, Officer Catherine enters Naina's mother's house, where they find out that Naina is actually on antidepressant pills, and after hacking into her computer, they even get to know that Naina's mother is in a retreat center a few miles away. Officer Javed, who's now frustrated, takes it out on Rohit. This is when he finds out that Naina went into depression because she couldn't cope with the death of her father. Listening to Naina's insane demands, the PM's team, not wanting to risk her life, gives Javed the command to enter the premises along with the commandos and kill Naina once and for all. But Javed, who's worried about the lives of the kids, is still hesitant to go in with full force. As a gesture of good faith for the Prime Minister talking to her, Naina lets go of 2 more kids who are soon returned to their parents. The news reporter Shalini is finally reunited with her son, meaning that the affair is not the cause of the kidnapping. She then reports to the world about her experience with dealing with Naina, whom she calls a demon. Listening to this on the news, Naina gets more agitated. She goes on to click a picture of a little boy, Savitri, and the driver, and then posts a poll on her Instagram asking who she should kill next. She even informs the news channel about this, at which point we see the whole country vote to kill the driver. Naina then goes on to give the kids some earmuffs and puts them down for a nap. When she shows the driver the results of the poll, Savitri tells her she urgently needs to use the washroom. When Naina frees her, Savitri uses this opportunity to try and fight her off. She frees the driver, and all 3 get into a fight. Unfortunately, this results in the driver getting shot in the foot. Both of them are then strapped back to the chairs, which is when Naina goes on another live session where she informs the world what she did. When the Prime Minister finds out that her team went behind her back to send in the commandos, she is outraged that they are willing to risk the children's safety. She immediately calls the lead inspector Javed and informs him that any news regarding the incident should come straight to her. Meanwhile, the police arrest Naina's mother and Rakesh Mathur but are unable to locate the other individual, Charan Kumar. Naina's mother is brought in for questioning, which is when the truth is finally revealed. When Naina was just a kid on her way back from school, she was held down and raped by 2 men who turned out to be Rakesh and Charan. Naina, along with her parents, fought hard to get her justice but in vain. The rapists were never convicted as the police officer in charge, Javed himself, was dismissive of the case. All this because he was trying to fish for bigger cases since he wanted a promotion. This is why Naina asked for him personally, and to this day, her mother still blames him for mishandling the case. The Prime Minister, along with all her security, soon arrive at the location. When she calls Naina to inform her of her arrival, the Prime Minister is still hesitant to enter because of the murder of an innocent boy. To prove that she's not a murderer, Naina lets go of that little boy along with Savitri and tells the Prime Minister that it was all just an act to gain the nation's attention. Naina sends all the other kids to her room and makes the former driver sit in front of her. The Prime Minister, along with Officer Javed, enter the house and converses with Naina. This is when Naina comes clean about all the incidents that took place and how they affected her. She even donates the 50 million rupees to a rape rehabilitation center. She now demands that the Prime Minister make rape a capital punishment to ensure that no one has to suffer like she did because, to this day, 1 in 16 women are still victims of sexual assault in the country. When the Prime Minister promises her to try her best to make it happen, Naina reveals that the other person who raped her is in the room with them. It turns out to be none other than the driver, Charan Kumar. When Naina saw him free and working as a driver for one of the kids, she finally snapped and came up with his plan. As Nina threatens to kill him once and for all, Charon steals Javed's weapon and tries to shoot her, but it turns out it wasn't loaded. Nina, in a fit of rage, continues to shoot Charon in the chest until he collapses to the floor. Nina is then arrested, and all the kids are finally reunited with their parents. When Nina is sent to prison, all the women there salute her bravery. The Prime Minister, deeply affected by the events, takes up the cause of advocating for stronger laws against sexual assault and finally making rape a capital punishment in the country. 6 months go by, and we see that Nina has taken on the role of educating her inmates. The movie ends as we watch Nina finally get the news that her primary demand has finally been fulfilled. And that wraps up our intense recap. Thank you for joining me on this thought-provoking journey. I hope Nina's story has inspired you to be a voice for the voiceless and an advocate for a world where no survivor has to suffer in silence. Until next time, stay safe and keep fighting the good fight.